Welcome back to the Legacy Podcast. My name is Olisya Grant, co-founder of Matrix Legacy, Inc. We are back for episode number 44. This is the show where we create a blueprint for success. We look for ways to create generational wealth, and we break those chains of a poverty mindset. So, of course, got to start with the thank yous. I appreciate every single moment that all of you are with me, whether you've been here from the beginning or you are just hopping on. I appreciate your presence, your input, all of that. This is such an incredible space for us to share information, share ideas, and really just grow and learn together. So on the last episode, I posed the question, do you guys have any topic ideas, anything that you want some more insight on that we can cover on one of our podcasts? Because the whole idea here is I just share where I'm at on my journey so that wherever you are in yours, if you haven't yet seen the things or run into the conflicts that I've already run into, then hopefully I'm able to clear the way and expedite your process so we're not all stumbling over the same blocks and we can kind of work and grow through these things together. Now, this question has come up multiple times, and when I saw it requested last week, I was really excited to hop all over it because I get a lot of people in my DMs asking me, like, where do you get your confidence from? How did you learn to speak? And so I think I feel like it's really important to have an episode all about using your voice and the power of communication, because that's all we do all day. That's really all we have. Communication. That's the only way people know how we're feeling. That's the only way they know what we're doing. That's the only way they have an idea of what our vision is, our goals, our ambitions, and things of that nature. And so communication is absolutely key when it comes to building a team, building your own dynasty. You even got to be clear in your own communication with yourself, whether you choose to be in front of a camera or whether you're having offline conversations all of the time. If you're not able to properly communicate or properly present your ideas, you might miss out on a lot of opportunities, a lot of relationships, a lot of scenarios that are meant for you simply because you didn't know how to express it. And before I even go anywhere, I am nowhere near a professional speaker or anything like that. This is just a lot of practice and a lot of throwing myself out there and a lot of feeling the butterflies and feeling that fear and doing it anyways, until I got to a point where I realized that there's nothing scary about talking and about speaking our mind. We make up in our mind how people are going to interpret it, and we kind of decide for them how they're going to take our message, and so we try to perfect it, and that's where our conversation gets jumbled. And so I want to go over a few tips, a few ideas, a few things that I've noticed as I'm going through my journey, and hopefully it helps you. So the first thing that is going to help you in terms of becoming a better communicator is understanding the difference between speaking from your heart and speaking from your head. A lot of us speak from our head because you go to school and you're set up where they tell you, write this speech or do this presentation in front of the class, and you are shaking in your boots because you're talking about something that you don't care about. Something that is only in your head because you had to memorize information to then regurgitate it and let the rest of the class know what it is that you read or that you understood of what the teacher taught you. And so you really can only speak from the head. And so, but they never really train you how to just speak about what is in your heart. And if you don't run into incredible mentors, and if you don't get the opportunity to speak and learn from people who have mastered that speaking from the heart, we don't actually understand what that even means. It sounds like a nice catchphrase, but I can actually feel the difference in myself from when I'm speaking in my head to when I'm speaking from my heart. Right now, this is coming from my heart because I know that if I just genuinely share what I know from the experiences that I've had and nothing else, I'm not trying to recall somebody else's information. I can only speak from what I know. And so that's when it really starts flowing out. That's where the confidence comes from, because it's in my heart. Whatever's in my head, I have to memorize. I have to put it in a certain sequence, a certain order. And that's where we start getting jumbled and nervous, and the message doesn't come out clear. And then we start saying something and we're like, what the heck? Why did I say that? Like, can I take it back? And so play around with it a little. You could tell when you're speaking from something that you were just like memorized from, maybe something you watched or somebody you heard it from, versus something that's in your heart because it's an experience you had, or it's something that you're passionate about and something that you believe in. Something changes physically in my body when I'm speaking from a place of passion. Usually when I'm doing these podcasts, I might start getting a little warm, or I start feeling excitement because I'm speaking about things that I love, versus if I'm just giving a traditional like webinar or whatever it looks like and it's something that I don't genuinely care about. You can definitely tell the difference. So first, explore that for yourself just through practicing whatever conversations that you're having on a day-to-day basis. See if you can tell the difference between when you're speaking from your head and you're speaking from your heart. And once you can notice the difference, then you can practice and get better at always speaking from the heart, so you always come across as a confident professional communicator. And if you don't know where to start, this kind of leads into my second tip. Write down the things that you're passionate about. Write down the things that light you up and write about it. Whatever comes to mind, without any bars, without any restrictions, just write whatever comes to your mind and then read it out loud. See how it feels. See how it feels to speak the things that are in your heart without you having to overthink it. Because those are the things that you can have genuine conversations with people on a day-to-day basis, and you practice through those genuine conversations. And so leading right in from that, I know number 2 is really quick. Write it down. That's really, I don't know how much further I can go than that. Write about the things you're passionate about and practice talking about them in conversation. But that leads into the biggest key of them all. Being a great listener is how you become a great communicator. When you're having a conversation with somebody, a lot of us want to be way more interesting than interested in who it is that we're talking about. We want to make it seem like we got our stuff together, we know everything, we have the answers, and that's just a natural instinct. We just want other people to think highly of us. And so we get in our mind and try to create something that we think is going to impress the other person. But what's going to impress the other person is if you can actually digest what it is that they're saying and respond to what they've said, not what you just want to say back as a rebuttal. So listening is going to make you the greatest communicator. You are going to learn from other people's communication styles, and you are going to learn from what other people share with you, because they're going to give you all kinds of information that you can download in your own memory bank now. So when you have future conversations, now you have even more to talk about because you've learned from somebody else's experience. You've actually listened and internalized it. So now you just become more interesting by default. You don't even have to try, because now you can relate to another person on a different level because you've really taken the time to listen to what people are saying to you. So becoming a great listener is truly how you become a great speaker. And this is so important because whether we realize it or not, we are constantly presenting ourselves to the world through our body language, through the things that we say, through the actions that we take. And a lot of times we really only get one shot. So it's important to constantly have our best foot forward, but it's okay if your best foot is constantly growing. You know, if you're constantly evolving and transforming into the person who you're looking to become, you don't have to be there right now. Everybody's got to start somewhere. And so giving yourself the grace to grow into a stronger communicator, that's how you're going to do it. They say where your focus goes, your energy flows. So if you're constantly focusing on how can I be better, not beating yourself up and, tearing yourself down, all this negative self-talk that we sometimes get caught in, but really just giving yourself the space to grow and say, okay, I really was uncomfortable in that situation. So what can I do next time to feel just a little more comfortable? How can I prepare a little more next time? How can I develop that part of my skill set to be stronger? Just give yourself the grace and time to get there. So those are really the main points. This is definitely a quick and condensed version of how we can better use our voices. I don't want to give too much here. I really just want to leave it at the bare bones and the basics, so you can take a few little things from what we've talked about today and build it into whatever you have working on. I realize that some people look at me and say, oh my goodness, how is she such a great speaker? I can't speak like that. I've had people literally say that to me. And in my head, I'm thinking, you have no idea where I've come from. And it just comes from practicing and throwing myself out there over and over. My first podcast episode, and I think I've spoken about this before, it took me over 2 hours to film a 17-minute podcast because I was so nervous. I was speaking only from my head, and the 17 minutes that you got were the points in time where I was able to flip over and speak from my heart. But I had to first get out of my own head and stop trying to create perfection, but instead try to relate and think about who it is that I'm speaking to instead of what it is that I'm saying, because that in itself is not that important. I have to speak into somebody's listening. And the only way I understood how to speak into somebody's listening is just by listening more to others, talking less, listening more. And that's really how I develop myself. And then constantly being in a state of how can I get better? How can I grow? Where can I develop? What's new that I can learn so that I can share with other people? And so if you follow just one or two of those steps, you will definitely be a stronger presenter, a stronger communicator. Communication is absolutely key. A lot of people ask, and this is the last point that I'll leave. My husband, my best friend in the world, we've been together over 7 years, and we're literally home all of the time together, literally 24/7. And people ask, like, how are you guys still at this point in your relationship? Like, how are you guys so strong? And it really is communication. That's all we do all day, is make sure that we're openly communicating with each other, and you just get better at it as time goes. So practice does not make perfect, but it definitely makes progress. So just keep that in mind as you go on your own communication development journey. That is all I've got for the day, guys. If this did help you at all, go ahead and share this with a friend. Like, comment, subscribe, leave a review if any of this content is helping you out. I'm always open to new ideas. So if you guys have any other topic ideas or anything like that, I would love to hear them. Again, if you are enjoying this content, you can download the Matrix Legacy app to stay up to date as we drop new episodes and as we drop new information and new content. I will be here next week with another building block for success. Until next time, let's build a legacy.